What's going on? We're going to do the weekly pull list of September 2nd. Let's hit it. First up, we have Wolverine issue 5. Did I read it? No. When will I read it? I don't know. You follow this channel, you know I'm behind on Wolverine, behind on X-Men. These are notoriously, I'm very far behind. Pretty cool cover. Looks like he's fighting Batman, but I don't know. Next up, we have Batman. The Adventure Continues number 4. Really great story. I watched all the animated shows during this quarantine for the first time, so to see this in a comic is just outstanding. And I love the covers. I love the characters. Really, any time's a good point to jump onto this series. I'm happy to read it. Batman '98 Joker War Part 4. You gotta love Batman right now. It is just to see Punchline and Harley Quinn really go one-to-one. And just kind of the redundancy in the characters that Harley Quinn's saying, you're nothing, Punchline says she's nothing. It's just great because you know Punchline's here. She's going to stay. And she's part of the new Road Gallery and everything. So kind of see Batman come to terms with what's going on. And to see Harley Quinn and Punchline just kind of do word jabs and literal jabs at each other is really, really fun to see. And I was very happy to read this comic. Deceased, Dead Planet issue 3. This is 5 years after the original Deceased, where Cyborg accidentally turns all the population of the world into zombies. So we see some of the heroes, Constantine, Zatanna. They're going back and they meet up with kind of the rich of the rich. Penguin has a holdout with a lot of rich people. But this is really good. It's nothing really crazy happens, but I love the Deceased. I just recently read the first 2, and just be in this universe and everything. Highly recommend. Strange Adventures number 5. I love Strange Adventures. Strange Adventures is great for a couple of reasons. It's by Tom King, who just did the Mr. Miracle that I just reviewed, and it's great to see like this side. Is he a hero? Is he a villain? And just the way it's character driven. So most of this issue is about his wife and just how she's kind of playing the system to make him come out on top. I really, really love Strange Adventures, and I'm always excited to see this one pop up. Moving on over to Image, which was a very heavy Image week. This will be very different next week. We have Coffin Bound issue 6, my bad. I love the colors on Coffin Bound. I love every cover. It just pops. The title alone, I always am like, this is one of the best titles. Just how they print the words. It's always great to see. And then overall, you know, I don't really always remember what's going on in Coffin Bound. This character's, it's otherworldly, and I think it's harder to read, but if you're open to kind of a little more poetic and a little more out there title, you'll definitely like this one. Firepower issue 3, Robert Kirkman. Obviously I'm grabbing this. I don't know, it's good. It's good. Like, it's nothing too remarkable. I don't know exactly where their end game and long-term plan is, but this guy, he comes from great martial arts skills, but he moved to the suburbs. He's kind of putting that life away, and now he has to teach his family and all that kind of stuff. But it's good. It's definitely better than anything Kirkman has put out. Like Thief of Thieves, Outcast, all that stuff. This is definitely the top out of those jungle of Kirkman stuff, but it's definitely, I'm open to say you should grab it, but overall, it's good. Inkblot number 1. The only reason I grabbed this was, I think, Emma Kuber, I think that's how you say it. She's either second generation or third generation comic book writer or artist. I remember reading in her bio that she's second or third generation, so one of her parents and one of her grandparents worked in the comic book industry, so I was like, you gotta give it a shot. I think this one's kind of about this other world, this woman, she's in the library, she knows all the knowledge of the world, and this cat appears out of nowhere, and it's kind of teleportation. You definitely have to like magic and be able to like fully jump into like a world that's not like this to get into it, but for a first issue, I actually pretty liked it, and I thought the cat was pretty cute. Lost Soldiers issue 2. Lost Soldiers is awesome. It's going to be a 5-issue mini run. Lost Soldiers is so good. In the first issue, you know, it's in Vietnam, and Private Berg was murdered, and he got killed in Vietnam. And you know, once I saw that, I'm like, well, no matter what, I'm buying the rest of these issues just because it has my last name. But overall, I think it's really cool. I think that cover is insane. I love the title, and just to be in one world and jump back to the other is really enjoyable. Next up, we got On the Stump. On the Stump is about politicians. Instead of debating about stuff, they fist fight on it. This issue had to do with the Slay Act that would allow politicians to kill each other on the stump. You know, reading this, I was looking at this issue, like before I started reading, I'm like, they just want to sell this to like AMC. It really felt like it was mostly being written to be sold to a TV show, which some comics do. But after finishing it, I actually really like this issue. I think the universe is going to, like this On the Stump universe is really going to provide something pretty cool. And I think if it's doing well, I think it's going to be here for a lot longer than I expected. So I definitely recommend getting into the series. I think it just has a cool aspect of what a political life that would be different in the US would look like. Pretty Violent, issue 9. This one's messed up. This is like dark, way too dark compared to anything else that I read. You know, she's trying to be a superhero, but she's raised by a supervillain. She's actually supposed to be a supervillain, but she's going out of her way to be a superhero, but her methods are not always great. Pretty Violent's really fun. I love the art. It's so poppy. It's so comical. It looks so much like a comic. You read it, you're like, this is just twisted, but it's great. I love Pretty Violent. If you haven't read the first volume, I definitely recommend. This is issue 9. Last but not least, Sea of Stars. Sea of Stars is probably the weakest of the week, but it's not too weak. Sea of Stars follows a kid and his dad. They get their space people who, they transfer cargo via a giant freighter ship, but it's not exciting. You know, space kind of looks dead, but something tears the ship apart, and he ends up getting these powers. He can breathe in space and everything. This is the first issue back since the first volume of issues 1 through 5, and that came out close to a year ago. So I did recently reread them to get ready for this, but I don't know. I can't really sell it to anybody. You gotta really want to just see an empty space with societies that does not even feel sci-fi. So you read this book, it doesn't feel sci-fi, but Sea of Stars, I'm gonna keep reading it, but I can't fully recommend it at this point.